Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for being here. We're talking about urgency within education and a talent pipeline. And I would like to point out that that is about building graduates and experts, qualified people. So we're going to take a graduated approach to this session, in fact, because there are many elements from within the kingdom and, of course, from further afield that we need to address here. But I think one of the most important areas that we've recognized before we get to the nuts and bolts of how we create that pipeline is how we change the narrative, I suppose. And we're going to start that with Khalid. Khalid, thank you very much indeed. Khalid Alosaimi, who's the Chief Digital Transformation Officer for ESNAD, that's the Saudi mining services company. And I brought you on first, Khalid, because I think this is perhaps the single biggest challenge, both within the kingdom and absolutely further afield, is changing the narrative of what mining is, and whether mining is even the best word to use for that. So do you see that as a fundamental challenge? And if so, how are you approaching it?
Thanks, David, and good morning, everybody. I think if you see the World Economic Forum last year, they predicted that by 2030, we will have 170 million jobs. 92 million of them are displaced. 78 million of them are new net jobs. But the key finding that 39% of the job skills will shift. And that gives an indication about a pattern. Also, if you see the International Energy Agency last year reports see that the critical minerals jobs will reach to 1 million by 2030. But that all gives a summary that the jobs are not only from entry level, not from only fresh graduates, but also will come from converting current workforces from other industries. And that comes with a critical part about awareness. I think today, mining in the last decade has transformed to a different industry. If you see today, the companies that they have embraced innovation, they are thinking digital as a first approach. They believe that technology is a core enabler for excellence and success.
Sorry to interrupt, does digital mean fewer jobs needed, or is simply you're going to have to get more digital experts in?
I think both. I think you will have jobs changing, and also new skills need to be added to the workforce. But if I continue in that pattern, I think today the majority of the companies are embracing a transformation journey, but I think the needed work for them is to ensure that their corporate communication, their branding reflects that exactly. I think the industry today is very known, but the companies and how they operate, how they tackle challenges, how they embrace really tough challenges is not seen. If we take another study from the mining and automotive skills alliance, they saw that 55% of younger generation see mining only the field operations only. They don't see the complete job families, the complete horizons. But I think there is a huge work to be done on elevating the branding, the communication. And today, I think the FMF serves a great platform for the companies to really reflect that. And ESNAD today, as a proud founding member and a partner, is happy to support that. And today, if you see the booths, see the exhibitors, and also the majority of the innovation scene, it reflects how the mining has went far. And I think we need to do more as you continue to drive to attract more talents to the mining industry.
I mean, we're going to hear in a moment, we'll get some ideas as to what the platform now looks like in terms of bringing that young talent through, bringing those young people who still perhaps don't fully recognize what this sector is all about, because it's obviously extremely diverse, it's very complex, it's also very exciting. And some of that is perhaps missed, not least because here in the kingdom, for you, this is still a relatively new world to deal with. So that challenge, not just of finding these people, but of turning them into professionals, as the minister said at the start, professionalizing these people to a standard that you need, that's a long pipeline.
Yeah, I agree. I think it starts first after awareness with preparing. I think there is a huge demand, and huge demand for talents that are ready to really be deployed and productive. But I think there's a huge work that we're already done globally to ensure that we provide some kind of vocational training to really upskill and reskill the current workforces to be ready for the future jobs in mining. And you take also from that angle how we can personalize, because in the end, I need a massive workforces, but I need also the specialized advanced degrees, PhDs that can tackle more challenging work. And I think that comes with partnering with universities. And today we are with the announcement that His Excellency Ben Khalid and also His Excellency Ben Nahyan has shown that we are supporting 2 universities with 2 degrees, postgraduates and also graduates, with other 2 academies that supports in Saudi the fueling of specialized degrees in mining. And you take from the last point is the convergence, how I can convert current workforces to be ready. I think that by creating micro degrees, working with institutions to really establish academies. And we saw real examples in the past from other industries like hospitality and tourism. They worked hand by hand with local communities and also with government agencies to create academies to predict the future demand in their industry. And today is relevant in some cities in Saudi that they're now launching their projects, but already the pipeline of talent is already available because they had planning ahead. And I think the mining as an industry has 2 key kind of elements, growth and predictability. And that allows you to plan ahead and work closely in collaborative way with the academic world, also with the other government to support that.
Interesting too how you see that in parallel with other sectors and other industries, and you've brought that into play. So let's expand this discussion now, and let's focus on some of the companies who need these people, some of the educators who will provide these people. I'd like to call the rest of my panel members to come and join us now. That is Abdulaziz Alhamwah, who is the Vice Chair and CEO of the Modern Industrial Investment Holding Group. Welcome, sir. And engineer Geoff Day, who's the CEO of the Masane Kobra Mining, or AMAK. Please come and take a seat, gentlemen. We have with us Walter Precourt, who is the Senior Vice President and Chief Administration Officer for Mosaic, US-based company, but global in its outlook. Dr. Abdulrahman Masfer Alosaimi, who's the Chief Scientist at KACST, that's the King Abdulaziz City for Science and Technology. And Geoff Caers, Professor Geoff Caers, Professor and Mineral X Director from Stanford University. Really interested to hear about the perspectives from a long-established institution, Geoff, where now you know that finding these people is not just a challenge, it's a different challenge to the one it was before. So, gentlemen, thanks very much indeed. Sorry, I said that Geoff Day was here. Geoff isn't with us at the moment, as I understand it. So let us just, if we can, expand a little bit on where we are and talking about the needs. What are the needs within the kingdom in particular? Perhaps we could start with you, Abdulrahman. As a chief scientist at KACST, what are you looking for in terms of the next generation? Who are the ones you want? It's a very, very broad and diverse field.
Yes, actually, when we talk about the advancement in technology, in mining, especially in mineral processing, that I think we have a gap in this particular topic. So what we need here is to provide programs that support the talent here in Saudi Arabia as they, with new technologies such as AI, automation, and the new technology that attract them to fill the gap in this particular value chain. So one thing that actually we have a great system, education system, that support and support the talent here and young professionals. So what we need here is the develop them with the specific training programs to make them ready for the market.
And that directly brings the perspective of how you do that into play, Abdulaziz. At the Modern Industrial Investment Holding Group, you are the enabler, in a sense. But you've had, as we were hearing from Khalid there, we've got an era of awareness is upon us. You have to create almost like the building blocks to get from totally unqualified through to completely qualified experts across the kingdom. How do you do that?
Well, when we embarked on the journey of mining services, we found out that there is a long way to go to develop a pipeline for talent, especially on the mining services side, whereas blasting is a very important element of the mining sector, given the sensitivity of the product and the safety requirement and the regulation that is involved across the world, not only in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, it's a very specific world you're in.
So what we done workshops to develop a common understanding between us and our clients and even the regulator, inside the kingdom and outside the kingdom. Lately, last 2 years, we have signed a formal agreement with the security authorities to develop a full-fledged program for the blasting services. Last 18 months, we have graduated 380 candidates, all certified and approved by the security authorities.
Could I just interrupt there and say 380 is a great start, but it's still a drop in the bucket, isn't it?
Absolutely, absolutely. This year we are planning around 700. Okay. 700. But what we found out, it's the requirement is not only in the kingdom, but only in the region, also in the region. So we have expanded our program, and we have conducted similar seminars in the Gulf, and we are talking also to East Africa. So our company is not only a local company anymore, it's a regional company. But this program has proven to be very valuable, and we created a lot of jobs, and I think we still have a long way to go.
And what is the level of competency and qualification that comes out at the end of one of these?
Well, there's two requirements. There is a requirement from the security authorities,
yeah,
and a requirement from our program. So you're talking about high school graduate, college graduates. It depends what's part of the job you're looking for, because we do underground, we do open pit, and we do also other tunneling also, which is very critical jobs, you know, in the infrastructure world.
So a lot of these people will become apprentices and trainees within companies.
Absolutely, and certified.
Yeah,
and certified.
And the reason for you extending through the region, you mentioned East Africa as well, is that to draw that talent back here?
Absolutely, yeah. Absolutely, and also promote our business itself. We also do work in East Africa and the Gulf, including Iraq, including Pakistan, and many other aspects of the business.
Abdulrahman, thank you very much for the moment. Geoff, we're talking about numbers there, 300 plus graduates in this last year. It's hardly scratching the surface. Yeah. And yet, if we cross over to the US, the number of graduates with mining, engineering qualifications at the top level is even smaller than that, possibly. Yeah. So where is the challenge for you? I mean, in a way, you've sort of reinvented the mining challenge within Stanford University, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's interesting, actually, if you look a little bit at the history of Stanford University, founded in the 19th century. It was founded by Leland Stanford, who was a railroad baron and interested in mining, shipping, mining, of course, gold from the Golden State. And the first department was a geology and mining department. But as you mentioned, in the United States, over the last decade, we've seen a decrease significantly in a mining engineering program, metallurgy, geology, as applied to mineral resources. The way there's changes, though, at Stanford, we have a new school, the Doerr School of Sustainability, which was founded 3 years ago with a gift by John Doerr of $1.7 billion. Okay. So that was a big moment forward for us to start rethinking how we teach and how we do research. And that was a prompt for me to start a new program at Stanford, first, again, in almost 100 years in mining. It was called Mineral X. But we can't just offer these traditional things. That's not very attractive to the students today. Students today are very interested in digital, of course, in Silicon Valley, startups, AI, and basically trying to do things very differently. And
is it, sorry to interrupt, is it more than just what attracts them. It's also what puts them off, and maybe
Yeah, absolutely.
the view of mining is,
why
is a bit of a turn-off.
Yeah, so why mining, it may not be on people's front pages or the students, it's also that when we start educating them around mining of copper or mining of lithium, it's very different than mining of coal. And so these aspects is what the students are looking for. What we've seen at Stanford is a very quick growth in our program, in particular being attracted students in computer science who are looking for something meaningful to do and contribute to society, and writing more apps is not necessarily on the front page for them. So that's really where we start to attract talent, and that talent is incredible talent. These are computer science students that are the very best in what they do, and we love engaging with them, and I think it's a great start for us at Stanford.
And a lot of technical universities around the world actually are taking a different approach to the way in which they want to work. It needs to benefit Stanford University as well as students in a commercial sense. So how do you implement that? What are the sort of strategies to
Yeah, it's a great question. So the Dorr School of Sustainability was founded to also have an accelerator center, meaning that research gets accelerated into actual practice. So at Mineralix, we have an industrial affiliates program where we directly collaborate with several members of the industry worldwide, and all of the students need to do a project with a company. Meaning it's not just about doing abstract academic work. It's also about what is really happening in the real world. How are people making decisions in the mining industry, and how can AI and data science disrupt these decisions? And students love it because it's like really interesting case studies, interesting data, and it attracts a lot of people to the program.
Walter, if I can bring you in here with Mosaic. We're talking a bit there about the value proposition here, aren't we? What persuades people to come in? What are you trying to do, and what do you need to change that narrative and to encourage people in? And where are you going to find them?
It's a challenge. We hire about 1,200 to 1,300 employees a year, ranging from frontline operators, mechanics, craftspeople, technical folks, commercial.
And that's on an international level.
On an international basis. And for us, we lead with our mission as a way of trying to attract people to the company. The company's mission is to help the world grow the food it needs. And if we can entice you that that's something interesting, something noble, something you want to be part of, then when we start to share our values and our guiding principles and lay out the opportunity in the company, that's our way of getting ahead of things.
So is it working? That has to be the question.
I'll be honest with you, it's a constant challenge. We have vacancies in all of the areas. I think one of the most difficult areas to fill is actually in the crafts. And while it's important to have engineers and technical people and everyone else, if you don't have the operators on shift, you don't have the craftspeople, you can't make the tons to go sell them.
Abdulrahman, can I ask perhaps the same point to you, how you actually how you phrase, brand, shape the look of new qualifications within the mining world? There's a lot of talk about simply changing titles for engineering jobs. I've seen a couple have been like, we can have earth resource management now rather than mining engineering. We can have battery materials science, which it just sounds like something rather more exciting and futuristic. Is that an approach that you recognize?
I think in Saudi Arabia, the situation is changed since 2016 with the Vision 2030. Now the mining industry is growing rapidly. That requires more and more national talents. So I think now we have thousands of students, let's say, graduated from geosciences, mining engineering, and other related and unrelated majors. So we are growing. I think the future of mining still needs more and more talents in Saudi Arabia.
There's a question which I think actually comes back to Walter's point, which perhaps I could bring to you, Abdulaziz, as well, which is where you do get these people from. The old traditional perspective was Everyone's funneled gradually into universities from wherever they might come from. But mining actually is very relevant to communities, isn't it? It sort of has its heartlands. That's where the mine exists. So what is the opportunity for actually drawing on more local communities, and how much does that sort of assist in terms of getting your numbers up?
We will be very surprised how much interest that we have drawn on the regional areas. Most of our people are from rural areas and regional areas, and it's an industry that has been on the radar for many years. Also, what we have developed, which I want to mention here, given the advanced mining activities that is in the market, we have introduced digital solutions. Not only the blasting part of it, but to complement the blasting activity with digital solutions. And we have signed an agreement with one of the world top players, including training to ensure local talent in the market. So we're very pleased with it, and we're very pleased about the interest that we're drawn from both sexes, men and women. We have almost 20% of our graduates are women. So it's becoming an industry that everybody is looking at.
Very briefly, is that a figure, 20%, is that a figure you're looking to extend and increase?
No, it's going to be increasing, but initially we're surprised to see 20% from the beginning.
Yeah. And can I ask you about, so here we are, you're finding real interest within certain localities. Do you then gather those people up and bring them to centers in Riyadh, for example, or do you take the work to them? Do you take the qualification to them?
It depends. It depends. We're very surprised to see people want to work on the job sites, which is away from Riyadh. But it depends what kind of... We circulate people from different parts of the world, from the part of the country.
Because you need them in those localities,
Absolutely.
Don't you? And the risk would be that heads are turned. Heads are turned by moving into different parts of the world.
That's why the local community is very important.
Yeah. Walter, what about you in terms of this idea of aiming for the locality? I mean, in particular, we might talk about indigenous communities and how you access those communities and who you have to appeal to turn perhaps a skepticism or even a distrust and dislike into a positive message.
It's a great place to go. The province of Saskatchewan, which is well represented at the forum this year, it's a province of about 1.1 million people in the Canadian prairies, about the size of New England, the northeast of the US. So it's rural by definition. We'll need 15,000 people to move into mining positions over the next decade to replace retirees and to support growth. So when you think about that, we think about where can we make investments to help with education of Indigenous and First Nations, people that are in rural communities. So not only will they join us, but they'll stay. I mean, the biggest risk is you bring people into mining organizations and they leave in the first 5 years. Yeah. So you've got to create something that resonates and works and will keep people in the community.
But are you still on a learning curve in that sense as to how you access people like that? How do you get to them?
We have been able to grow over the last 5 years the number of Indigenous employees from a very small percentage to about 17% today, and we're aiming for much higher numbers. And we do that now through investments in education, through some of the institutions that really focus on those populations.
And are you having to offer incentives to the communities, not just to the individuals? It's not just about saying, we want you, we're going to give you a great qualification, you're going to come and work for us, but there has to be more to it than that.
It's more about partnerships with the communities, so there's co-investment in education. Just this year, we announced about $4 million in 3 different institutions in Saskatchewan education to help support this progress. But yes, it's something that has to be done in partnership with others.
Okay, thank you very much. Geoff, these are some of the challenges. There are many more. There is a risk also, and perhaps it's being gradually dealt with here in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, of parachuting people in.
Yeah.
And, you know, that is a quick fix. It may be a great fix in many senses as well. How dangerous a fix would you say it is in a world where urgency is the word we hear all the time, speed of growth is critical, so you can't wait for these people, you need them now. But parachuting in brings its own problems.
Absolutely. And in my collaboration, I particularly want to focus on Zambia and the DRC, where we have started collaborations with universities. Because obviously, it's one thing to start opening mines in Zambia, and I'm involved in one, a discovery made by cobalt metals in 2022. But there's another thing to start hiring local people who are doing the work, even college graduated people. And so at Stanford, we're collaborating with Copperbelt University, for example, to give that competitiveness to them by introducing, in fact, the same data science and AI that was used to make the discovery in Zambia to the students by Cobalt Metals funding 10 scholarships. It's a beginning, obviously, but also for me to travel there and teach courses in data science and AI for mineral exploration. These are important efforts, but these are all efforts that take a lot of my personal time. It's something great to do. But it also shows that you need to have a personal engagement, that you need to put up your time to do that. And so now what's happening there is that the company is getting very interested in hiring graduates from the Copperbelt University work for their mine in Zambia. And these are the kind of collaborations that we're looking to do at MineralX. Our next big entry is in the DRC. I'll be traveling to University of Lubumbashi in March and starting to establish very similar relationships. One of the components...
Is that also, sorry to interrupt you, is that also a view to then bringing them back to the US, where of course there's an absolute boom at the moment in terms of need and requirement for mining through to processing, or is it to establish?
It's more to establish
kernel.
There, for example, I'm offering a course in Africa. It's called Teaching the Teachers, which is essentially a course that says, well, I can just show up every year, everywhere to do that. How about a course that educates professors around the latest techniques that are being used in mineral exploration, and then they can basically teach their own students. So it's a process, it's a slow-moving process, but it's a very important process to make sure that the graduates in their own country are competitive to the jobs that are available.
Thank you for that, Geoff. A question I want to ask all of you, actually. I mean, we are talking about, and we've had some extraordinary figures from the Saudi perspective in particular on the resource that's out there. There's a huge resource. But also, everything is finite, and we haven't for a moment talked about aspects such as recycling, for example, or some of the more, what I might call, seen as more environmentally appealing approaches towards this mineral sector rather than mining. Where does that figure in your thinking, for example? I'd like to go down the line on that.
You're talking about the recycling.
Yeah. Do you look at qualifications directing people towards a recycling?
No, the kingdom adopted very strict rules when it comes to the environment, and mining is no different. So we follow the rules strictly especially in our business when we do blasting. So I think there is a lot of programs also to ensure that there is pipeline talent for the environmental issues and recycling issues. I think this country is under-recycled, and I think a huge opportunity exists for this sector, and I'm sure there will be more to hear from this side.
Interesting, Abdulrahman. It's a bit of a sideshow when you've got so much resource, but it's going to be critical.
I think, yes, it's critical. But when we talk about mining, we are also talking about sustainability. The Vision 2030 focuses also on one of the cornerstone of the Vision 2030 is the sustainability. Mining is not far away from this because we have we work on recycling the minerals. After processing, there is waste. We work on that waste by recycling it into a value economic product. So we have an experience in this. And also we work on another waste. We talk about the water waste that results from the mining operations. So we cover all of the environmental aspects from the mining operation.
Possibly, Geoff, it's a more important top-line message from long-established mining nations in a way that recycling has to be a critical part of the equation. I mean, there are two things that strike me from the words the gents have said here is, A, you can create more and more graduates, maybe in recycling and revalidating the process, who will be pinched by Marden, for example, or one of the other organizations there. But how big how big a part does it play, this revalidating of...
Yeah, I mean, of course, the School of Sustainability, Circular Economy, recycling, there were big startup companies coming out of Stanford, like Redwood Materials, who are doing battery recycling. But I think I want to come back on this a little bit, this pain point between recycling and initial resources. There is, even in the sustainability community, there's a little bit of a thought that we can recycle ourselves out of this problem. And it's clear, I think, that if you look at the numbers of the amount of copper, lithium that we need, that is not the case. So in one hand, yes, we need to focus on components of recycling, but at the same time at Stanford, we're trying to take the downstream and the midstream people and push them a little bit more upstream and say, there's earth materials to be dealt with. And, if you can process more efficiently, then you're not dealing with the waste in the first place. So we have to be mindful, I think, of focusing a lot on recycling and waste, because preventing that in the first place by better mining and exploring for higher grade ore bodies is where it all starts. So I don't see it necessarily as one disconnected puzzle piece, and at least we're trying to teach our students to look at it that way.
So you're saying, basically, Walter, that's about better cycling, if I can put it that way, rather than necessarily recycling. Yeah. Is that how you see the message? And who are the people you really need? I mean, who are the people you really want Geoff to be creating for you and the institutions here?
I think the people that we really need are innovative thinkers who aren't afraid to disrupt industries. I mean, right now, that's what we're looking at, is what novel technologies exist for us to extract from our tailings piles. What novel technologies exist for us to go to the ore that's in the reject piles that didn't meet the cutoff grade and extract nutrients from that. And I think if we can have people that come out of universities that are willing to challenge the status quo, that's what gives us a shot of making a difference.
Khalid, you set us up beautifully at the start about some of the challenges and the preparedness and awareness, and that is here, and we're hearing some of the ways through that. I know one of your keywords is then commit. How great a commitment is still required, do you think, in terms of reaching some of these extraordinary pipeline challenges?
I think if I can summarize, I think today the talent will always be available, but are you tapping it and creating it earlier? I think my colleagues mentioned that collaborating early, trying to really commit on job placements, trying to work with local communities to really create fast-track trainings and programs will allow that cycle to really benefit mining industry and organization in it. But I think the commitment comes only from really showing the commitment to hire great talents, and in return, I think the majority of the ecosystem will support you to upskill and really develop these talents to be ready for the workforce.
Right, and of course, Abdulaziz, it's not just about finding this generation, it's about establishing, as we keep saying, a pipeline. This has to be there in perpetuity, doesn't it? So in terms of commitment, how much further have you got to go, do you think?
Well, when we talk about the recycling part of it, mining recycling is a must. It's part of the mining industry to complement and comply with the environmental requirement. I think now, with the commercial opportunity that exists with the recycling and mining, also included the training part of it. So I think we're going to have opportunity in the training sector for recycling and for the environment.
But you've had to move really fast. You said it yourself at the start.
Yeah.
You had to look at this and think, we need workshops just to tell us what we need. And you've done that, and you've moved ahead. You've started to create that pipeline.
Absolutely.
But maybe the pipeline's that big, and it's got to be this big. So how great a growth have you got to look at?
What's surprising us is the interest that you attract when you mention these type of industry. We are very surprised to see the interest from the regulators, from customers, and even from the commercial people. So I think this sector, in particular, which comply with the environment, the recycling, it have potential to grow, including the talent, pipeline talent, from both sides.
Abdulrahman, let me ask you something. I want your honest answer here. So you're in the heart of science and technology. You see a lot of young people coming through who are bright people who are keen to get involved in science and technology. Where does mining fit on their list of priorities, though, today?
I think, yes, in mining, we have still in the beginning of innovation. We need more invention ideas that help to solve critical problems that the industry may face. So we are building our capability now to work on, for example, exploration. We have we have some weakness in inversion, 3D inversion of exploration. We have some difficulties in mineral processing. So we still in the beginning of the localizing all of these technologies here in Saudi Arabia.
The foothills,
Yes.
really. Okay. Geoff, it's a similar question for you, but Bob Wilt said yesterday, as CEO of Martin, he said, we want to be up there as a better option than Google and a better option than Apple, and we're not far off. Mm-hmm. What's it like in the States at the moment? Because, it's been a backtracking world for you, hasn't it, in terms of attraction to mining?
But at the same time, I live in San Francisco, and San Francisco is home today to the top 5 big companies in the world. And so what we're seeing now also with AI in particular is the pressure on jobs that are desk jobs, right? Things that can be automated and so on. So I think what cannot be so fully automated is basically, so let's open a mine fully automated. It's just not going to happen in the next 20, 30, 40 years. And
no, but you can have automated control.
You can have automation, but
you have a more comfortable environment. Is that helping?
Yeah, and so I think students are looking for taking those skills where they now no longer have a job in companies like Apple, and taking that talent into new companies, including mining companies, as long as those companies are willing to be innovative.
Last thought, Walter, is over to you. How do you hold on to these? You get these bright young things,
Yep.
They're in, you've got them, but over their shoulder are all these incredible things happening in other sectors. How do you hold on to them?
So I think the attraction is that in the mining industry, there is so much opportunity. You can actually accelerate your career faster than you might be able to in a pure tech company. The biggest challenge we have, though, is you have to be present. You have to be at the work site. You're not going to do this on a totally remote kind of work status, and that's hard. I think if we can keep the challenges out there, those who are hungry and love to innovate will be with us.
You've all got a massive challenge ahead of you, and you've all made strides on that road. I wish you the very best of luck in an urgent time, I think it would be fair to call it. Ladies and gentlemen, our panel, thank you very much indeed. I'd like to encourage you to leave. Khalid, thank you very much indeed.